So, I welcome you to the presentation of economiesuisse, the Swiss Industry Association, and it's a great honor and pleasure for me to have this presentation today with you. As you know, we are based in Switzerland, in Zurich, and I would like to give you in this presentation an overview on how regulation and economy in the climate discussion are shaped in Switzerland. So to cut it. On the first slide, you have a brief overview on what economiesuisse is. It's a Swiss and business industry association. Compared to all other industry associations all over the globe, the representativeness of economiesuisse is good. We have companies and associations from all the sectors and businesses represented within economiesuisse. We have a strong belief, and the belief is that the power of the market will help us to fight climate change more than government regulation. economiesuisse is therefore also a founding partner of two main elements of the Swiss climate policy, the Swiss Climate Cent and the Swiss Private Sector Energy Agency. You will see more about them on the next slides. As far as Switzerland is concerned, for those who don't know, Switzerland is a rather small country where we are around 7 million people, but growing, and in 2030 we will be counting like 9 million people in Switzerland. The CO2 emissions of the country are around 53 million tons. We account for less than 0.1% of global emissions, but we have many industries and also service providers in our country that can make that can face climate change on a global scale. Switzerland is the most competitive country in the world, and Switzerland is also one of the most interconnected countries and economies in the world. Climate discussions in Switzerland and also environmental discussions in Switzerland have been very hot topic for many years now. As you know, perhaps Switzerland is one of the countries all around the world that has a strong growth. And in the decoupling report of the UNEP, there was first shown that Switzerland is one of the leading nations regarding the effects or regarding its ability to combine growth and also reduce the environmental impact. What is the reason? The reason is rather simple. For a long time we have a high density of population, we have a strong economic growth and a very solid political situation. The three elements put together encourage a cooperation of government and private sector, and have also created a strong will for Swiss companies to innovate and to invest into efficiency because of the scarce resources, for instance in land, the scarce resources of mobility. We have one advantage, one competitive advantage that cannot be duplicated. There is a great potential, or there is also already a great use made out of water power in Switzerland, which accounts for around 40% of Swiss electricity. Switzerland has also adopted a clean tech master plan and a clean tech strategy for the country and also in the economy, based on the economy. What we see is that there is a strong demand in energy on a global level. We are for many years now fighting for international regulation that would help on a level playing field to encourage clean tech development. But the big risk we are running is that still there is a wrong pricing of fossil energy, and still there is no international commitment in sight to fight climate change. We are all hoping that Durban will make the change, but what happens if there is not if we can't go ahead? And if Kyoto ends 2012, and what will be in 2013 to 2020? So what we do, we encourage from the Swiss side countries to strengthen the competence in decoupling growth and the use of resources by applying technology and also by applying intelligent regulation. And we support all efforts to create a global scheme to reduce CO2 emission. In Switzerland itself, there are two pillars of success and I want to go more into detail with those two pillars. One is the economic growth in the private sector through clean tech, and the other pillar would be the cooperation of the private sector and the government. The private sector part will be discussed in all web presentations and also live presentations that you will see during the 2 weeks in Durban. We have brought in some companies that can really, from the horse's mouth, explain to you how they see clean tech potentials, how they see investments in clean tech, and how they would proceed. I can give you some examples. We have SQS, a company that does certificates, that certifies certificates for the UNFCCC. There is a company like Siemens that has developed, especially in Switzerland, housing technologies. But there are also big names that you know from the services side. Credit Suisse, which is a bank that has developed a speciality in energy investment and renewable energy investment, and also Swiss Re with a planning ahead strategy in order to tackle the challenges of climate change. And I suggest to you that you would go into the details with those companies and their presentations. You will find them always in the daily program. I would rather start now to go into this public-private partnership, the cooperation between government and private sector. Our belief from the Swiss Industry Association, and we're completely private, is that if you want to tackle climate change, if you want to address climate change, you need to cooperate. You cannot just regulate, but you need to cooperate, which means a process of dialogue and a process of finding solutions hand in hand. What we have created in Switzerland is one part is the so-called Climate Cent Foundation. The Climate Cent Foundation, on its basis, it compensates part of the emissions of private transport in Switzerland and invests the money in projects in Switzerland and also abroad to reduce and to compensate emissions of CO2. The special thing about the Climate Cent is that it has not been created by government, it has been created by the private sector and is therefore also strongly supported by the companies. And it has been the outcome of a fierce negotiation and a tough negotiation between industry and government, but now it's a stable institution that will also continue to survive, even if there is no international agreement on climate change. On the next slide, I would like to talk about another initiative, also a public-private partnership, and it's the Swiss Private Sector Energy Agency, an agency that has helped in Switzerland to reduce the emissions. We have an emission target of around 5 million tons and of reduction, and the Private Sector Energy Agency itself has done a reduction of 1.2 2 million, which is tremendous. The goal was to reach 0.6 million, but it doubled. The result was the double of the expected. It's an instrument that works in a way as a win-win. Companies that decide themselves to participate in the energy agency develop mechanisms in order to reduce their CO2 emissions, and therefore get a tax relief, so they do not pay any CO2 taxes anymore, but they invest in emission reduction. This instrument is a very strong instrument because it has a high acceptance. There are more than 2,000 companies now working with this agency. And the trigger of the success lies within the high acceptance that this instrument has created. The goals are negotiated, so they are acceptable for the companies. The measures and the potential to reduce costs encourage the companies to also reach the goals. And with this situation, it has become possible to even double the expected, or double what we had expected that we could be doing. So it's a really strong instrument. Now I would like to go into some clean tech examples of Switzerland, just to make you hungry in order to see more about Swiss companies. One is an industry leader, so the company Clariant. Clariant in Basel, Switzerland. They are a chemical industry, and they have developed a product called advanced denim, which is which is compared to the traditional blue denim in a slasher machine, a tremendous advantage. As you can see on the slide, blue denim production, you see here what you would usually use to create denim of 10,000 meters, and you see what you can do with the advanced denim product. So you can reduce the water consumption by 92%, you can reduce the energy consumption by 27%, you reduce the cotton waste by 87.5%, and the wastewater is reduced by 100% because you do the recycling of the water, so there is no more wastewater left. And the next company, ABB, it's also a Swiss company. They have won last year the award of the Clean Tech Corporation of the Year, and for their competence in supply of electric transformers. They have also very high competence in smart grids for the energy future, electricity future, and they also have a high know-how, or developing a high know-how in electric vehicle charging. So as you see, there are two industry leaders coming from Switzerland that do not only impact Switzerland, but they will certainly, and first and foremost, impact on a global scale. Even though Switzerland is a small country, there might be some interesting products in order to tackle climate change coming from Switzerland. So I want to close here and summarize the presentation. Switzerland is small. Its climate effects are small. We are not a big player in the discussion, but we have two advantages that we can put forward. One is we have found a good way of cooperation between private sector and government, which is crucial if you want to step ahead in the process of making CO2 or giving CO2 a price and protecting the climate. We have found also a way to have no carbon leakage. So we are not using a heavy-hand regulation that would put companies in a situation where they have to run away. And we have some industry players that can really make a change because they have products that will not only impact Switzerland but also impact on a global scale. And I would like to encourage you at the end to come and see detailed presentations of the companies that are present on the Swiss stand. Feel free to come, and now I'm happy to take your questions.